Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for clicking on today's video. So today's video is actually a question I got from a client in the past week, and I thought it was a fantastic question. They were feeling a little bit burnt out on plugging all their food in all the time, and they said, am I gonna have to track my food forever in order to reach my fitness goals, keep my fitness goals? And I thought that was an awesome question, and one that I've heard from a lot of people. I think it can be discouraging to think that plugging all your food in every day is something you're gonna have to do for the rest of your life. Can you track your food forever? Yes, you can. But do you have to track your food forever? Probably not. So I like to think of learning how to eat kind of as a spectrum. Most of us don't grow up thinking about how to eat. A lot of us have zero nutrition knowledge at all. And usually when those folks get right into fitness, I think that there can be some benefits of a meal plan, particularly when it comes to portion control, kind of learning what's in your food, just seeing how a nutritionist or a dietitian would lay out a meal plan for you can be a really, really helpful learning tool. However, I also think there are massive limits to a meal plan, mainly that it gives people the idea that they need to only eat those foods in order to reach their goals, and they need to eat that food in those order every single day, or else they're not following the program. So although I do think meal plans can be helpful, I think they're very limited in what they're able to achieve. So after somebody sort of learns portion control and what it feels like to be eating the right amount of food, I like to try to transition people to a more flexible dieting approach, which is more tracking food, following macros, finding what works for you, what doesn't, how many meals per day feels best and is optimal for you, how do you plan your pre and post workout meals, etc. And there's a lot of experimentation in that, and it can take a long time to really understand what you're eating and when and what feels optimal and what works best for you depending on your goals. Sometimes people want to build muscle, sometimes want to lose fat, sometimes people just want to get stronger, sometimes people want to get faster. You're going to need to tweak your eating a little bit when your goals change. So personally, I would say that I tracked my food pretty religiously for about 5 years, and now I'm at the point where unless I'm actively prepping for a show, unless I'm actively trying to cut, in which case I will likely always track food to get ready for a competition. That's just me. Not everybody feels this way, but I definitely think that's the best and smartest way to approach a competition prep. But if I'm not getting ready for a show, then I actually very rarely track my food. Every once in a while I'll plug a day's worth of food in just to get an idea of where I'm at, and it's almost always right around where I expected it to be. My calories and protein are right around where I need them to be, and because of that, when my goal is to build muscle or even just to maintain my physique, I'm good, because the combination of the things that I've done over the past 6 or 7 years with meal plans and then moving into flexible dieting and playing with things, I have so many healthy habits now, and I can look at something and just have a rough guess of what's in it. It's pretty easy for me to maintain a physique that I'm happy with, a physique that performs well without needing to track every little morsel that I eat. But it doesn't happen quickly. It's a big, big learning curve. You can think of it almost like budgeting. If you've ever made a budget, when you first start budgeting, they recommend that you track every penny that comes and goes from your account, right? And it's hard, it's a pain in the butt, but you learn a lot doing that. And once you've done that for a while, you no longer need to track every single penny. You roughly know when you're on track with your budget or not, and maybe you'll do an audit at the end of every month or something like that, just to see if you are where you thought you were, and if not, maybe reassess, kind of move the goalposts around a little bit. Eating is very similar to that. There's an intuitiveness to it that we're working towards. And I think that's the ultimate goal for a lot of people, is to reach a place where they can eat intuitively. They know when they're hungry. They know when they're full enough to stop eating. They have healthy habits, but also they're able to honor a craving when it comes up. And they're happy and comfortable with their physique. I think that's the ultimate goal. And that is, in my mind, that's the goal that I like to have for most of my clients, but it is a long-term goal. Some, it might just take a year or two to get there. Some people, especially active competitors, It could take several years. It might not actually fully come to fruition until after somebody has decided to stop competing. Maybe eventually someone can be in a place like me where they're able to eat more or less intuitively the majority of the time, and then when they decide to do a competition prep, they focus back in on macronutrients and things like that, and flexible dieting and plugging things in. But I do think that food tracking in some way or another is actually incredibly helpful for most people. There's always the argument that it could be triggering for some, that all the numbers are triggering, and I do think that this is true, but similar to weighing yourself, I think the more weight you give the scale, or the more weight that you give to the numbers, the more power they have over you. So personally, for myself and many people I know, we've been able to get it so that those numbers have virtually no power over us by tracking every day. Once you actually start tracking every day and you realize some days you're over, some days you're under, and nothing crazy happens one way or the other, those numbers no longer have power over you. So of course, you know, I'm not a therapist at all. I'm not gonna recommend that if these things do trigger you, that you need to do them. I've certainly worked with many, many people who prefer not to track their food or track their weight, so we just don't. There's no need to play with fire if you don't have to. But if you are able to, I think you can find a lot of freedom in tracking your food for a while, and eventually the goal is you won't have to anymore. So hopefully that answers some questions. Please let me know if you have any questions about this or any other topics you'd like me to cover. Let me know in the comments down below. Go ahead and hit subscribe if you haven't already. We really, really appreciate it, and we put out new videos every Thursday. See you next week, guys.